There we go. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, Mr. Vice Chair.
Charlie, shall we begin? Do we have enough people, a quorum? Good. Mr. Holland, Mr. Spencer, Ms. Buckman, looks like we do. Okay, well, unless
Yep.
does this sound good, Charlie? Okay. Well, all right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Jimmy Thompson. I'm the Vice Chair of the OAA Grants Committee. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The following Grants Committee members are in attendance. As before mentioned, I saw Tim Spencer, Sharon Buckman, Jim Holland, and let's see if there's anyone I've missed. I don't see Dr. Thomason, I think, was unable to be with us today. And it looks like Mike Tillum is not able to be with us today.
Dr. Thompson,
Yeah, Tony.
I know Mike Tillum just asked me for the link, so he's probably gonna be joining us.
Okay, great.
And Tyler Lester is here representing Senator Pillion.
Oh, excellent. Welcome, Tyler. First item of business today is for the committee to consider a motion to approve the August 18th, 2023 minutes as they were posted on the website. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Do I have a second?
Second, Jim Holland. Second, Jim Holland.
Thanks, Mr. Holland. The minutes are approved. Next item is for our committee to receive an update from our Director of Operations, Charlie Linticum, which will include a review of the funding proposals we have received from cities and counties. All right, Charlie?
Yeah. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
And can everybody see my screen? Good. All right.
Good.
Here we go. Thank you, everybody. So here we go. We've already done these two things. So 2 slides, 3 slides now out of the way. Pretty good, pretty fast. So briefly, I wanted to give you a small update on the status of our grant programs and application cycles. There's been a few tweaks since the full board meeting last month. So for state agency awards, we've received 9 of the 16 signed MOUs. Some of the agencies are still working through their process, and some have got some questions and small revisions we're working back and forth on. We currently have funds transmission in process for 4 of those agencies, totaling about $2.3 million. This is kind of our first guinea pig bit, because transferring to state agencies takes a few more steps than it does to get money to localities. You might think it was easier, but administratively it has more steps. And so we're working with our fiscal agent, DBHDS, along with the Department of Planning and Budget to get those facilitated. The next proposal window for state agencies will open around April 1st to June 1st, which would be new proposals as well as amendments to current ones and renewals. And I'll present more details around that and any possible process revisions at the February 23rd Grants Committee meeting. So the city and the county awards from the previous cycles, we received all documents from 23 of the 40 cities and counties, and of those 23, we've transmitted now $5.6 million to date. Many of the others are working through documents, especially around the cooperative partnerships, getting those operational agreements together, and those types of things. Some are debating about having to maybe make some changes later in this cycle to them, and are kind of trying to mull those over before they finalize the initial award process. And we also had the special planning grant cycle, for which we will hear applications for today, that was open from 7/1/23 to 9/30/23, just for individual cities and counties who had not already received a planning grant. And then currently we have our city and county awards cycle that's open for individual distribution, gold standard, and cooperative partnerships. That opened on October 1st of this year and will go through April 1st of next year. There are 2 more grants committee meetings after this that relate to applications for this cycle, one on February 23rd and one on May 23rd. So we'll be talking about planning grants today. There's also one individual distribution grant application that came in. So our budget for FY24, as you see, is about $3.7 million. That was money that was carried over from the previous fiscal year that wasn't spent from the first round of planning grants. Our proposed award total today is $469,750. So there's a balance remaining of 3.2. If we don't elect to do any other planning grants during this cycle, which I don't know that we have the capacity to do at this point in time, and we don't currently have plans for, this money would revert back into the unexpended portion of the unrestricted fund, unless we decide to do something with it in FY25 related to planning grants. So we have time to still think about that and talk about that down the line. So, as also mentioned on the agenda as part of this is a proposed schedule of grants committee meetings for fiscal year 24. The February 23rd meeting, it will need to be in person because this is all virtual meeting. Can't have virtual meetings back to back, so that will be in Richmond at the OAA's office, where we'll consider any city or county grant applications. This would primarily be amendments to current awards, or for individual cities and counties, or new city and county awards. It's very minimally likely that there would be something to come in where we would actually take action for a cooperative partnership projects, because we have to look at all of those together once the period is closed. The May 23rd, 2024 meeting is currently scheduled for Farmville at the Prince Edward Volunteer Rescue Squad, which is where we had our meeting back in August of this past year. Logistically seemed to be not too terrible for a number of our committee members here. So we're going to try that again. We will again be looking at city and county grants, and this will include all of the cooperative partnership applications, both new as well as amendments or renewals to current projects. August 2nd will be all virtual, and where we'll consider state agency proposals. And then December 6th, we'll potentially back at Farmville in the same location again for city and county grants. So those would be for new ones on the cycle that would open around October 1 of 2024. So that is our proposal. Once that's been, I think, officially finalized, you'll probably see something from myself or as part of a larger document from Mr. McDowell, our executive director. So planning grants for planning grant and individual distribution proposals that we've received through time for this this meeting. So we received 7 planning grant applications from this special planning grant cycle. That's Botetourt County, Colonial Heights City, and then Loudoun, Patrick, Prince Edward counties, Salem City, and Warren County. There's a note, the performance period for this special cycle is only 1 year. So it's going to kick off January 1st. Mr. Schlichman, our attorney at hand, has been working diligently on trying to get award documents prepared. So if everything is approved, we can transmit those out this week to give as much ramp time for them to get everything back to us. So hopefully in January, we can transmit all of the funds. We did the other planning grants that were approved back in the summer were given like a 2-year process. We have asked that they try to complete those quicker, but the idea behind these is to try and get people engaging and applying for their individual distribution and or submitting that direct distribution. So the longer we leave of time, the longer it takes for them to get the application through. So that's why we went with a shorter performance period for this time, which should be doable for everyone. We also received 2 individual distribution applications, one from Manassas City that I'll talk about. We also received one from another county, but after kind of reviewing and talking with them, they chose to withdraw, and they may revise for a future submission. So there's a small typo here. This should say planning grant requirements. So as a reminder about things related to planning grants, just like all of our awards, no supplanting and no indirect costs, only new administrative costs, and they have to give us a narrative of what kind of specific purpose that the plan they're creating is for. They have to give us a line item budget, identify any potential partner organizations. They also provide us their procurement documents if they've developed any, and it must result in a plan. and that plan must turn into an application to the OAA for a project. If those things don't happen, and the plan also comes to us, will also be posted on our website, then they have to repay the money that we've given them. So, planning grant applications that were received. Individual city and county. So I'm going to start with Loudoun County, which in your packet of information that came along with the agenda, it's a little out of order, but I'll explain why in just a minute. Theirs is a little different from the rest. So Loudoun County wants to both create an opioid response plan and hire a opioid response program administrator. They are looking for $200,000 from the OAA. They are providing a $160,000 match from their general fund. So long-term sustainability on this for this program administrator to oversee all of their opioid response initiatives. Overall, the countywide strategic plan will be part of an RFP to contract with an organization for this strategic plan, including identifying like source data, existing efforts and gaps and those types of things and what they can do. And the program administrator will be a full-time position to support the work that comes out of the plan. So the other 6 proposals all were from very similar sized cities and counties, and all were kind of touching around different flavors of the same thing. So what we did was we went back to those cities and counties and said, let's see if we can kind of put everybody in the same box that's already kind of exists a little bit to work. And so the framework we used for the recommendations, if you'll note on the screen, some of these have a requested amount versus a recommended amount, is we use the Powhatan County plan that they did. It was on the last cycle that we gave them $45,000 for, and they're matching with $5,000 from their direct distribution. So that's a $50,000 total. They're moving through their procurement process for that. They had a very well thought out request for procurement, and additionally, it has cooperative language. So anybody that's awarded a planning grant or wants to just do a planning process on their own can pull from that contract without having to go through a normal procurement process. Additionally, if any of these that I'm about to go through get an award, one of our contingent requirements is that if they do an RFP, they put cooperative procurement language in as well. So there could be other opportunities for other localities to use those vehicles. So the procurement process, as we understand, is going well for Powhatan. And so the overarching pieces of this is I'll talk about each one individually in a second, but basically creating kind of an opioid abatement or strategic plan and a report and how to best use the funds based on the needs of the community and the resources that are currently available. There is one that's a little bit different than one or two that have a little bit of different flavor here and there, but ultimately that's what we're kind of looking at as a whole. And we also noted we had them kind of sign kind of a pre-written document if they agreed to this change that kind of outlined everything. And one of those things is if they go through a procurement process and the amount we've recommended is not enough, they can come back to us and we can look at potentially amending this amount based on the results of their procurement, so long as the amount of match that they're providing stays in alignment. So if they're providing a 10% match and we got to go up on our money, they'll come up on their money in a like amount to keep that match in place. So Botetourt County Community Opioid Abatement Report and Plan, they originally requested $50,000, aligning with that Powhatan setup. We recommended $45,000 for a planning award. They're going to provide $5,000 match from their direct distribution. Colonial Heights City, a strategic plan for usage of settlement funds. They originally requested $67,500. We are again recommending the $45,000 for a planning award and a $5,000 match from their direct distribution. Patrick County, they are developing a strategic opioid abatement plan. They originally requested $125,000, again recommending $45,000 planning award, They are providing a $5,000 match from their individual distribution. So a note, approving of this is a $45,000 planning award as well as a $5,000 individual distribution award. We go. Prince Edward County. This one also has a little bit different flavor. Gap analysis and abatement plan. Originally requested $36,720. Again, recommending $45,000 planning award, and then a slightly off number, $5,250 in matching funds from Prince Edward, Buckingham, and Cumberland counties. It's $1,750 each. Well, that sounds like a cooperative partnership planning award. It does. That was something that they had hoped to do. However, we did not offer those on this most recent round because we already have a number of, when we approved the cooperative partnership awards, our out years were over our amount of funding that was available. So everyone's going to have to work together for those. And we'd already did a slate of cooperative partnership planning grants that have to result in more applications. We've got to figure out how to fund. So they came to us and said, well, this is what we really want to do. Not a lot of us have any money, and everything kind of works together in our three localities. So Prince Edward said, hey, look, we'll take up the mantle. We'll be the fiscal agent kind of. We'll do this, and we'll set this study up for our kind of greater community region, but we'll kind of take that on as an individual city. Excuse me, as an individual county. And then to kind of support that, Buckingham and Cumberland have given matching funds for that. This one of the contingencies for this award is if the plan comes out that says the best thing for you all to do is apply for a cooperative partnership and try to use your funds with some additional money, then the resulting application from that, it must have a significant commitment from their individual and or direct distribution, since that's the intention of these planning grants. And so they are an understanding of that for all three of them. So Salem City is still doing something similar to the others, but they kind of broke it out into multiple projects, including created an opioid prevention work group, doing training, surveys and research, and developing a needs assessment that results in a plan. They had requested $205,000, almost $206,000. We're again recommending the $45,000, and they're providing a $5,000 match from their direct distribution. And then Warren County, they actually came in, just basically followed on their own before we even got into this, the kind of Powhatan model. And I believe they used Powhatan's RFP to create their own. We've also given all of these localities that we've worked with for these amendments a copy of Powhatan's RFP that they can use for developing theirs. So again, a $45,000 planning award and a $5,000 match from direct distribution. And then lastly, our one individual distribution application is from Manassas City. This is for a harm reduction specialist for their local Department of Social Services. The harm reduction specialist is going to collaborate with various community stakeholders, including police departments, hospitals, schools, community members, to address the opioid crisis and its impact on child welfare and child maltreatment. Position is going to focus on implementing evidence-based harm reduction strategies and providing other supports. So they were requesting $42,000, $42,069 when their individual distribution for FY24, which is the amount they have available, and then another almost $7,000 as a renewal for FY2025. So this is your first opportunity to renew an application. We didn't think it made sense for you all to approve an application to then have them turn around and have to submit a renewal for by April 1st for a project they've just barely gotten the funding for and gotten off the ground. So to stay in alignment with our renewal process, a contingent requirement on this grant is they will be required to submit a progress report by June 1st of how they have been implementing the progress, the project that the OAA can review before any FY25 funds are transmitted. FY25 funds would not be transmitted until after July 1st, 2024. And if there are any issues within the plan, we would, with their report and where they are with moving along, then we would work with them for some type of performance improvement before we would transmit the funds. They did not provide any matching funds for this, certainly not required, but just a note. So, Mr. Vice Chair, that ends my report from the Director of Operations.
Thanks, Charlie. Let's see. So we've already reviewed the meeting schedule. I guess that came
It was part of it. Yes, I'm sorry.
part of it at the beginning. Looks like this is the moment, this is the time on the agenda where members of the public may address comments to the committee. Mr. Lincecum, do we have any individuals signed up to speak?
Mr. Vice Chair, not that I'm aware of. Ms. Moisan, are you aware of anyone that has signed up to speak recently?
No, but if anybody in the chat will raise their hand, I can go ahead and let them chat if we want to wait just a minute to see if anybody does.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay. While we're waiting, recognize that Mr. Tillum here joined us. So another grants committee member.
Okay, it looks like we have one person. I'm going to allow them to chat real quick.
Okay.
Hi there. First of all, great. This is very informative. I am from Loudoun County and used to work in emergency management. Trying to get more familiar about grants in general, but I just sort of wanted to briefly ask about oversight and how you feel about the allocation of funds and how that's, been going and sort of the trends that you've been seeing.
Okay. Thanks for the question. Would anybody like to field the answer?
I'd be happy to, since that all kind of falls under me just about. So as far as oversight, there'll be something coming out soon for the full grants that, the full projects that have been awarded about how the reporting will work. Every grant that is given for a specific project outside of the planning grants has to have specific performance measures. That'll be part of what's reported on. There'll also need to be kind of a narrative of status, and there'll need to be a report on, finances, kind of budget to actuals and that type of thing. And then later, as the projects have kind of been in place for a little while, there'll be site visits where we'll be primarily looking into trying to understand, see the performance measures in action, see how the program works. The financial kind of review for further kind of audit piece, we hope is going to be handled through local audit guidance that the APA will issue once that kind of gets through the legislative process. They have some guidelines already, but we hope that's going to kind of get taken up in every year in the local audit process. As far as distribution allocation of funds, I mean, things are kind of all over the place, depending on either the city or county or the region that they're working in. Some have shovel-ready projects that they are digging straight into. They've got their money and they're starting to go. Others are trying to get their, kind of get the wheels on the car before they start driving it to get everything together with projects that have been awarded. And then, further down the line, you've got some that are still trying to figure out how best what to do. They're small cities and counties, or even groups of small cities or counties, and they, you're talking a staff of 6 people, maybe 15 people to run the whole county. And so they've kind of got to get to a point of capacity to be able to deal with this because they may not have enough funds to just kind of hire someone. And so they kind of have to get to that point. And so I think we're hoping that through our outreach efforts and then just through the basics of time, that for those that we have not received applications for either this past cycle or this current cycle, that we will get something through, either if they are not directly applying for their own money, that they're partnering at least in a project, by kind of April 1, 2025, which would be the end of our third cycle. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. I found the same issue with resources on human resources on that level. So thank you for educating me. Thank you.
No problem. You too.
All right. And thanks again for the question. Are there any others?
There are no others.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you very much. Okay. We'll now move on to the new business section. And first consider the approval of the planning grants as they've been presented. I'm looking for and will ask for a motion that the OAA approve the block of individual planning grants to cities and counties as recommended by staff, for which there are no recusals. So can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair, Jim Holland.
Jim? And can I
Tim
have a
Spencer will second that motion.
Thanks, Mr. Spencer. Any opposed, please so indicate. There's no opposed. The motion passes unanimously. Thanks, everybody. Next, I'm seeking a motion that the OAA Grants Committee approve the individual planning grant for Patrick County as recommended by staff.
Mr. Vice Chair, there's a recusal from this one. I believe
Okay,
Ms. Buckman has a statement.
Yes,
okay, great. Go ahead, Sharon.
so, I am requesting to recuse myself from the consideration of this proposal, because my, employer serves Patrick County and, we would be a potential applicant, through the RFP process.
Okay, Sharon, recognize that you are recusing yourself from this vote. Thank you. I'll go ahead and ask again for a motion to approve the individual planning grant for Patrick County as recommended by staff.
So moved.
Motion?
And I
thank you.
second that, Jim Holland.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Tim. For those present, any opposed to passing this motion to approve the planning grant for Patrick County? Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion is passed. Recognizing the recusal from Sharon Buckman. Thanks, Sharon. Okay, next, we're going to consider the approval of individual city-county grants. And so looking for a motion that the OAA approve the individual distribution grant to Manassas City and counties as recommended by staff.
So moved, Jim Holland.
Thanks, Mr. Holland. Can I get a second?
Second by Tim Spencer.
Thanks, Mr. Spencer. Any opposed, please indicate. Seeing no opposition, the motion is passed. Now, finally, would take a moment to consider approval of amendments to existing grants or awards, but from the notes, there are none to consider for this meeting. So I guess we can move past that and go straight into adjournment. Do we need a motion for that? Or can we just adjourn? What do you think, Charlie?
As long as no one has, I hear no objections, Mr. Vice Chair, or I hear no other questions or items for discussion. So unless anybody has any, I think a motion would probably be in order, just to follow Robert's rules.
Motion to looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting of the Grants Committee.
So moved.
All right, Mr. Spencer. And then Mike with a second. Thank you, Mr. Tillum. The meeting is
Let the
adjourned.
record reflect that Mike had an enthusiastic second.
Adjourn the meeting.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you, guys.
you.
Thanks,
Sarah,
guys.
Sarah, thanks, everyone.
All right,
Signing off.
thank you.